Scorpio rising. How you doing, Scorpio? This is your reading for the Aquarius new moon that happened on the 29th of January 2025. I'm recording this after the event. I apologize for the delay in getting this transit series out. That was because the Pisces North Node, Virgo South Node transit series took up a lot of time. That was a very powerful transit of this new eclipse cycle that we're now in. But what comes through in these readings is to do with the next 6 months. So from the new moon in Aquarius to the full moon in Aquarius. So you're not missing out on any of the messages that want to come through by watching this after the actual new moon itself. My name's Chloe. I work with card divination, astrology, and as you just heard, and as you can see, I channel multi-dimensional energies through my body, both in the form of physical and vocal light language. And all of this brings in healing, attunement, and activation codes to the messages that want to come through in this reading. So, firstly, a little bit of housekeeping. From the new moon in Aquarius to the full moon in Leo, the next lunation on the 12th of February, there is 50% off all personal readings. The code is Luna50. I've put that in the description box that you can apply on my website. If you want to pay by PayPal, email me directly and we'll work it out. And this is because that new moon in Aquarius was the Chinese New Year, the Lunar New Year. And so we're bringing forth celebration, giving back. And so if you feel so inclined for the next couple of weeks, it'll be 50% off readings. But obviously you can book in advance, like in 3 months time, and that will still be valid with the 50% off. And there's also, I've set up a new YouTube channel. It's called Quantum Vibe Tarot. Again, the link in the description box, as well as I've linked it onto the homepage of this channel. It's more direct transmissions, universal, timeless transmissions. I'm on camera. I'm using lots of decks. It's not fixed in astrology in the same way that this is. And lots more channeling coming through. And essentially, it's bringing in a frequency and an understanding of that frequency that then gets activated within us. There's only 2 videos at the moment. Healing the wounded inner child and the activation of our higher avatar of love. That's a 2-part series. I'm going to be doing a South Node in Virgo reading transmission and a North Node in Pisces transmission to help us access the most integrated and expansive intention of that transit. That transit already, we're only at the beginning, is completely radically transforming my reality. It's wild, and I'm seeing it show up not only in myself but for those around me and those that I'm interacting with on a personal and professional level. It is just phenomenal. So those will be going up probably over the next week. Right, let's get into the reading. So I read for the rising signs, my loves. So for those of you who do not have Scorpio in the first house, look to the house that it does fall in. Look to the themes of that house in your natal chart. You want to apply those themes along with all the other meaning you've got going on in the sign of Scorpio. It will be as if that Scorpio energy, wherever it falls in your natal chart, has now energetically moved to the first house. So the astrology for the rising sign will always still link in. You've just got to add on your own natal chart meaning on top of it. For example, I have Scorpio in the 4th. So I'd apply the themes of the 4th house, as well as I've got Pluto, Vesta, my South Node, and Saturn all there. So I've got a big Scorpio stellium, and so I'd apply all of the meanings of all those celestial bodies to what wants to come through in this reading. As always, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. So housekeeping for this transit, there is a 2-part series. That is the first videos that went out in this series, and part 1, it was supposed to be one whole video, but there's a lot going on because in part 1 as I mentioned already, that moon was the new Chinese New Year as well as the new lunar year for 2025. So I break down the meanings of that. I also brought in the wood snake, which is the Chinese zodiac sign that we are working with over the next till the Aquarius moon next year, as well as the cross-quarter fire festival of Imbolc. Right, this is the midpoint between the Capricorn solstice and the Aries equinox, and so So it really ties us in with the ebb and flow, the bigger cycles of the earth. And so I really talk about all the meaning of all of that, as well as the meaning of the year 9 that we're in, the numerology of that, and all of that interlinked. It was very beautiful in its frequency. So that's all in part 1. Part 2 is where I've broken down the astrology of this new moon in way more detail, right? Of how all the celestial bodies are talking to each other at the exact moment. And that forms a harmonic energy, right? How they're all communicating, what they all represent in what signs. And then that brings in a code, a download, an activation that we then imprinted with us collectively, that we're then applying over the next 6 months. So I got into the weeds of that energy, lots of big transmissions. I talked about Hermeticism, the Tao, because Aquarius for me is universal truths, right? That's sort of a zoomed out, higher perspective of it all. There were 2 main themes that came up in that collective reading, which I will bring into this reading, but I'm not going to focus so much on the details of the astrology. I'm going to be talking about the houses that this is showing up for. So if you want a deeper understanding of this new moon, go pause this video, go watch that 2-part series and come back, because that 2-part series acts as a baseline of what's going to show up here for you, my love. So Scorpio rising, where was this new moon for you? Well, it was in your 4th house, a fellow fixed sign, right? Your 4th house is your root system, your foundations, your ancestors, both blood and soul lineage, parental figures, the roof over your head, the literal roof, as well as the things that you do in private, because this was the darkest point of the day that you were born. And I like to envisage a tree in the natal chart, and the 4th house is that root system. We need a strong root system in order to grow. So you had lovely new energy, fresh new energy coming into your 4th house. And so one of the key themes that came up before I did the transit, right, that I was channeling, bringing that energy in, was neutrality, not numbness, right? So often we can mistake numbness for neutrality, and numbness is more that we need to withdraw, we might be sensitive, we're putting up our defenses, we're disconnected from things because of certain wounds and all of that. And that's obviously an important process for us to go through and do that healing work. But this new moon very much felt like it was bringing in the higher vibrational energy of neutrality, that when we operate from a place of neutrality with our existence, with our life, right? Not putting expectations and assumptions on things, not getting into conflict, not thinking the worst, not seeing things as good as bad. When we're coming into neutrality as our baseline, as our root energy of then how we work with the world, we're not in conflict, we're not in resistance. And so that allows Source to co-create with us from that place of neutrality, which often leads to unconditional love, abundance, and miracles and all that stuff. So this is what this new moon feels like it's bringing in. Our capacity to engage in every little moment of our lives from a higher space of neutrality, right? That like zoomed out perspective, more of the angelic frequency, the galactic council of not getting lost in the moment in a way that does us a disservice, and allowing the openness to whatever's going on, rather than the fear mindset or the scarcity mindset that then recreates those situations. We're open to new possibilities from Source, and Source loves that. So new moon here, new understanding of your roots, of what your literal foundation in terms of your sense of security and safety, as well as your figurative one, right, of how you're able to stand tall, knowing that you are feeding a high vibrational frequency into your root system, so you can evolve, so you can grow and expand at a higher level. New understandings around parental figures, around the wounds and the wisdom of the ancestors. New understanding of how you want to be at home, what it is like in your more personal internal world, right? The things that you do in private. We're bringing in a new frequency here. Now this moon was conjunct Pluto, conjunct Pluto and Mercury, and this leads me to the other main thing that's linked into this first pile. So Pluto represents your rooted power, right? Your deep rooted in the recesses of your primal energy, your power there, your magnetism, right? Pluto for me inherently is neutral, right? and it can bring the opposite to the forefront in order to get us back to a state of neutrality around the cycle of life, death and rebirth, which is always going on, but we can really struggle with that. Really struggle to be okay with that, right? And that's why Pluto can bring up distorted power dynamics, possession, obsession, control, all of that stuff, in order to us to go, okay, do I need to hold space for this? Can I let go of trying to control my life at such a high end of obsessing over things, you know, which just, again, that's clawing, it's bringing resistance in. So Pluto can highlight that, and there may be themes around that that do show up over the next 6 months, all in order to get you back to a state of neutrality. But Pluto is unearthing something that was deep within you, that is bring up from the underworld, and I do not mean that in a negative way, this universal truth, right? This more galactic frequency within you. Pluto is unearthing it, and it's connected to your root magnetism, and Mercury, the messenger of the gods, is delivering this download, this activation to the new moon. The moon is at her darkest at the new moon, so imprinting in your unconscious spaces, in your intuition, this upgrade. It's been really fascinating. This happened during the Pisces Virgo transit of the North-South node, as well as this one, that some of the predominant energy that I'm channeling at the moment is very mantra-like, right? You just heard that, right? It sounds like a lot of certain traditions and their mantras and the repeating of mantras. And for what this has felt like to me is, I felt very called to say, with the astrology of this year and next year, the work, the soul retrieval work that you do this year, the integration, the daily practices of reorientating your frequency to this new conscious awareness, of stepping away from the old paradigms and putting in the daily practice. Right? I felt very cool to say that. And it's not a theme that I've brought up on this channel at all. And it's just because what we're doing this year, the payoff is going to be worth it. And so this mantra energy that's coming through is kind of reiterating that, of the repetitive nature of forming habits of working with the new tools of this elevation of consciousness of our own reality that we're uncovering at the moment, right? And so as a year 9, it's closing out of a 9-year cycle and then activating a new cycle coming up. So that mantra energy feels very connected to that. That, and the fact that, and again, this is another thing I have not felt called to talk about, but it feels very strong. It feels very strongly connected. I'm going to bring this all into the oracle reading, which will be the final reading that I do in this transit, of we create our own reality. Now, I felt mindful of saying that because it can be very triggering for people, especially when they've gone through a lot of hardship, especially when they've seen repeating cycles, and we can feel like very trapped, and we can feel it's external, right? But with everything that's going on this year in the astrology, and I am going to be doing a little 2025 to 2026 energy tap in, right, of how to work with all of this. A lot came through the Pisces Virgo axis as well, that the training that we're doing this year around the realization of we create our own reality. And I say that from my own experience. Everything that I'm talking about is always things that I've put into practice and I've seen work, right? Of the recalibration, the daily habits that we apply that then stop from being that forced habit to becoming our instincts. That we create our own reality. And that's the power of Neptune moving into Aries, of the I am, shinima, right? That we're in this sense of I believe, I trust, right? And with this trust that's coming in of stepping up and doing the work. So that's been a key theme that's been showing up. And I'm not saying that to trigger anyone, just wanting you to understand your own autonomy and your own power. So power 1 is, what is this universal truth that's being activated for you, that's coming up from Pluto via the Mercury, the messenger of the gods, of how we process that. So we'll see what that comes through. That's a sort of an elevation of your understanding of you are firm here in this incarnation, no matter what's going on in your life, right? This is really solidifying what you're putting into your root system so you can evolve and expand. Now, the only other bit of astrology in terms of aspects that I'm going to talk about, there is more, that's all over in the collective reading, is the trine with Jupiter over in Gemini. At the time of recording this video, the ascendant was in Gemini, so it's very much tied into this Jupiterian energy, what's coming through here. Gemini for you is in your 8th house, the outside world's resources and your give and exchange with the outside world. So that can be literal resources such as a loan, a bonus or a commission, inheritance, both 3D or cosmic inheritance. It's about debt that you owe, debt that's owed to you, that kind of stuff, as well as the exchange between you and anything other than yourself, right? Time, money, ideas, intimacy, right? It's the give and exchange, it's the give and receive of it all. It's the exchange of energy between you and anything other than yourself. It's also it's relationship dynamics, right? And it's the resources and working with those resources. So it can either be like just you working with the resources of the outside world or getting a bonus or commission come through, as well as your resources from source and your relationship dynamic with source. Now, Jupiter at the time of this moon was still retrograde. It's going to go direct on the 4th of February, but that retrograde energy is imprinted. It's the underlying energy for the next 6 months in the 4th house. That's going to be influencing it. The Jupiter retrograde allows us to question things, right? It really allows us to have the confidence to question old paradigms and not take things on as faith, right? And just believing everything. So you've been questioning relationship dynamics. You've been questioning scarcity complexes, fear mindset, right? Codependency, hyper independence, greed, all those things show up in the 8th when we're out of balance with the exchange with the outside world. And that can often be related to a lack of value, right? That we then, learn love languages in our early years that we recreate out in the world. And that can be with the bigger outside world as well, of not getting the resources that we need, feeling drained, right? All of those things. The Jupiter retrograde is allowing you to question the old dynamics, the old paradigms, while at the same time bringing all of that Jupiterian energy, right? Jupiter integrates in order to expand, elevate, bring wisdom, faith, knowing. And with that knowing comes a higher level of deep-rooted confidence, which brings in that generosity of spirit of Jupiter, the opportunities, the luck, all of that kind of vibe, right? And all of that with a retrograde is pulled internally. So you've been cultivating your inner abundance, right? And so often with the 8th, we can externalize all of our needs to the outside world, and then that depletes our abundance. And so this Jupiter retrograde has been getting rid of that, dissolving that fear mindset around the resources of the outside world, relationship dynamics always repeating, because of this inner recalibration and this sense of faith and knowing within you that you are going to be drawing towards you exactly what you need from the outside world. This is a deeper inner connection with source, right? And the development of that. So from the 4th of February, we're going to see outward manifestation of everything that we've been cultivating. But as I said, that retrograde energy is still stamped on the 4th house, right? So these shifts of relationship dynamics, scarcity complexes with the outside world, is giving you a stronger foundation of your root system, of feeling safe and secure energetically, right? And then when you operate from that vibrant frequency, you're then seeing it show up in the outside world. When we do as within, so without. And so this is what's been implemented. As I said, so this is, even though Jupiter's going to go direct, you're going to start to see things more outwardly manifest. You're still going to have that inner abundance. You're still going to have that capacity to question when source shows up and brings you a relationship dynamic that matches the old paradigm, and you're just not bothered by it, right? It's not that you're like, no, go away, although that can be part of it. Simply like, that's just not even part of my reality anymore. So that Jupiter retrograde is really allowing a stronger connection to be able to perceive the truth based on your own inner knowing. I can see a heightened connection with your relationship with source, right? The resources from source that's funneling into your 5th house and your 4th house. Your root system, working with the ancestors, elevating this sense of you are here on this incarnation and source has got your back. And you're going to be able to see it more. Now, The only other bit of astrology I'm going to talk about is the fact that Saturn rules Aquarius traditionally, which is what I work with. And Saturn, so wherever Saturn is influencing what's going on with this moon. And this is imprinted in the next 6 months. Saturn's in your 5th house of your creation energy, right? Your house of joy. Everything I'm going to say stems from your creation energy. Play, amusement, games, pleasure, children, both literal and figurative, such as your inner child, and creative things that you birth into the world that feel like your children, romance, dating, and love. So Saturn's been a bit serious over in that house. We've been talking about this for a while, but now you got the North Node there. Now there's a real sense of all that Saturn's trying to get you to do is get more mature around how you operate with your creation energy, right? Say you've thrown yourself into romantic relationships based on old paradigms, based on what you've learned from your parental figures, and it's been a closed feedback loop of trauma bonding, right? Saturn's been going, no, we're getting rid of that energy. We're getting rid of this need for the lover, right? You know, this is you standing in your creation energy, in your power. Saturn's getting you more mature around all of that, right? Really helping heal some deep wounded inner child energy, and really allowing you to understand the commitment to your own creation energy. And all of that is funneling into your 4th house. So I can see a lot more creative energy, a lot more joy, a lot more pleasure in your home life, in your root system as well, that's wanting you to grow from this joyous place. Faladina, ina mao ya na ma do shani ma etinia. Now Jupiter traditionally rules Pisces, so Jupiter is influencing Saturn over in that 8th house. So the dynamics with the outside world, helping you let go of a lot of old restrictions around that, amplify your inner abundance. So again, not necessarily engaging in relationship dynamics with the outside world from a place of scarcity, right? From a lack of creativity, from a lack of pleasure, from a lack of joy. Jupiter's making sure this is in alignment, that this shift that's happening in your root system, that's allowing you to engage with the outside world from a place of stability, strength, and creativity and joy. Now, Mercury rules Gemini. Mercury's in the 4th, so we've got a feedback loop between Mercury, Saturn, and Jupiter. Mercury, how we engage, perceive, communicate information flow, right? So this is wisdom from the ancestors, the downloads that you're getting in the home, how you're communicating with yourself in the home space around safety, security, foundations, right? Really strengthening the power there. In alignment with Saturn, your long-term integrity, your long-term goals, your commitment to your legacy, a level of maturity around your creation energy, not giving yourself away to the old patterns that we're letting go of. Jupiter, the bigger picture, the faith, the wisdom, the expansion around relationship dynamics, around your relationship with the outside world. That's all feedback looping. You're going to be processing a lot of information with Mercury locked in there in the 4th around these shifts, around these changes. Right, let's get into the cards. So this is your universal truth. This is the imprint, the code that came in with that new moon that's going to unfold over the next 6 months. We have coherence. Oh, that's really not wanting to. There we go. Okay, they're fixing on this one again. This was given to me by my mother for Christmas. This is aventurine, I believe. And then we have Kuan Yin, care and compassion. So let's get this books out. Let's read this. I'm just going to pause and look up aventurine because it's wanting to come in. Okay, so it's known as the Stone of Opportunity, believed to be the luckiest of all crystals, especially in manifesting prosperity and wealth. With the link to the 8th, right, this could be starting a new cycle around getting a mortgage, wanting to move home, right? Or just getting some more strength of wealth and prosperity in your figurative root system, right? It promotes a feeling of well-being, aids in emotional recovery, so the wounds from the parental figures, the ancestors, stimulates the physical growth. It's a powerful protector of the heart chakra, ensuring that energy flows freely without obstruction and guarding against psychic vampires that drain one's energy. So this, again, the 8th house, the outside world. So this is bringing in a level of allowing your foundational energy to not get distorted by the outside world. Oh, interesting. It comes from the Italian avventura, which means chance, a hint at the great fortune this stone can bestow on you. Right, so we're taking a new chance. We're taking a new way of engaging. Dice ni moto fiti ni moto ela dice ni moto fala itana. So, right, let's read, what is it? Coherence 13, which is a number 4. And we're dealing with a 4th house, stability, groundedness. Itu ela dice ni ma oto ela. The frequency of coherence supports our ability to harmonize the frequency of the heart with the frequency of the mind for an optimal ability to create the reality we desire. That's great for the 4th, right? Your root system, right? How you build from that, right? The reality that you desire, all that 5th house creation energy coming in. I love the link with the mind and the heart as well, right? Because it's really like the more that we get in control of that mind, right? And by control is often a lot not engaging, right? And letting the thought processes just happen, but not letting it affect our heart space. Also the deep healing with your interactions with the outside world, the reconnection to source. Love it. Coherence can be described as a state of harmony, union, or connection in the new energy as reference to the human being. Coherence has to do with a state in which the mind and the heart harmoniously flow together. Whether we are functioning as an individual, a community, or a group, the new energy is asking us to find balance between our thinking and our feeling. We can no longer rely solely on our analytical mind, nor can we have just our feelings guide the way. Every part of us has to come together in a harmonious, coherent state of being. Only then can we navigate these new energies to become multidimensional human beings that are in control of their reality. To be powerful manifestors, it is imperative to not only set clear intentions with our mind, but to have our emotional state of being. Itala, with the heart as its center in alignment as well. I find even if you don't know what it is that you want to manifest, tap into the feeling that you feel and then allow that clarity of the full embodiment of the emotional body, right, to feed into the mind, right, and just bring like a silver thread, right, a silver tube, like tunnel from the heart, from the emotional body to the mind, right? And then you may get inspiration about what that looks like. E tu fa la di animo, to e la di anima. When the mind and heart come together in perfect unison, when intention saturates every layer of our being, every cell of our body, and every thought in our minds, we become unstoppable creators of our own reality. The basis of this activation is the flower of life, representing the universe as a whole, as well as the grid on which all form-based manifestation occurs in this 3-dimensional plane. Itu fala di anima. All forms are harmoniously flowing together on this grid. Whatever new form is created, whatever color is birthed, each has to find its balanced place within the whole of this reality. Conceptually, circles stand for everything and nothing at all, balance and infinity, purity and freedom. The many colors in this activation are representative of all the many layers and aspects of our being that are involved in the process of harmonious coherence. The green in the center symbolizes the heart and is an essential role at the core of everything. The water in the background indicates the realm of the heart as well, the emotional plane. The color blue represents our ability to communicate clearly. It is considered to be the colour of truth, the language of the mind. The number 6 is associated with harmony, balance, and love. I really love that with Mercury being in the 4th, right? And it's bringing in that heart space, that is the universal truth, right? The unconditional love of source. You're getting away from that fear mindset and being open to the communications you're going to receive at home, to that clarity, Aquarius, high vibrational frequency, that love is within you. It radiates through you and it is never denied. Ishala diala. You know, that can take a while to genuinely see that show up, but you know, it is part of a higher practice to put into, find the little things in your day-to-day, right, that represent that, rather than looking for it in the bigger areas. Find it in the little things, and that will act as a like a feedback generator of manifesting it in the bigger things. Next up we have Kuan Yin, care and compassion. Choose to be love. Do what is right for everyone involved. Offer a helping hand. Kuan Yin is a bodhisattva, a Buddha-like being, and the goddess of mercy, compassion, and love. Though she is acknowledged in Buddhism and the traditions of China, she goes beyond religions and warms the heart of all who call on her. She has a strong connection to healing energy, in particular Reiki, and encourages people to offer care, forgiveness, and compassion to themselves and others. Compassion is about recognizing the spirit in others. It's about seeing that they come from the same source as you do. I feel like that's linked into the Jupiter energy over in the 8th house of relationship dynamics and with the outside world, of when we step into that empathetic, compassionate energy of source is in everyone, love is in everyone, and knowing that it is within you, that you then get out of kind of conflict of how you're operating, right? Rather than the judging and the criticizing of what may be going on, of pulling yourself back to that root energy of love, right? And it's not necessarily that you then tolerate certain behaviors, but you're not taking it on as a reference point back to your own value. You know, one thing that there's a channeler called Erin Lyons, and she said, I watched a video of her a couple of weeks ago maybe, and she was saying how in the morning she says to herself, how am I going to see source today? How is source going to show up today? And she means in everyone she interacts with everything that happens. And you can have that mantra at home, especially with that 8th house Jupiter energy of having that channel, right, that in that daily implementation of that awareness of sources in everything. Source is pure magic, source is poetry in motion, and the more you have that awareness, the more it'll start to show up. First of all, the keepers of the light want to acknowledge all the service and commitment you have offered to others. You are all love. If you are finding it difficult with anyone at the moment, the best way you can move forward is to go beyond wanting to understand why or how they are the way they are. Just move beyond that behavior, mistakes and challenges. This card brings a message of friendship and care, helping you to see those around you do have their best intent, helping you see that those around you do have the best intentions, even if it doesn't always seem that way. It's so interesting because I've never had this card before. Well, it came up when I cut the deck for the last reading, but I didn't read the book. I've not seen this. So that's quite interesting to see the parallels of what I just said and then it showing up of like that inherent love energy that's in your 4th house, that you are love, and the more that you bring that to how you interact with the world, despite what may come back to you, right, that deeper awareness of you're not entangled with the drama of the 8s in the same way. Move into compassion and develop a greater understanding. This will elevate your spirit and connection to love. Right, the challenge. So this is the challenge that we're working with. I'm also going to cut the deck to get the card that offers support for this. The 5 of Swords in reverse. So the challenge is to realize you are no longer in a state of conflict. You're no longer in the state of the bully victim cycle, right? Which we're all probably in, right? In various levels. Very appropriate for the 4th house. I keep wanting to say 5th house. And that's really an emphasis on bringing that creativity and that joy into your home, into your foundational energy, right? So this for me is the most difficult card in tarot, right? This is about the bully victim cycle. This figure has won, but what have they won? They've won the 3 of Swords, and they're really happy that others have lost. right? So there's this cycle that we can, the bully was often the victim. It's very rare that that isn't the case, of this closed feedback loop of bully victim cycle of domination and subjugation. And so often we can fall into that victim cycle and think that our foundations, our home, our connection to our parental figures, all of that, right? Perhaps this was a very legitimate sensation and reality in your early years that you've then taken on the road with you as you age, right? And so there's going to be a challenge around accepting that this is no longer your reality in the home, in your foundational energy, in the way that you operate in your private life, in your private world. So this is really saying, hey, check it out, right? There may be certain energies that come up, right, that mimic that Five of Swords in the upright, because they're wanting to let you know that that's being released, right? So there also may be that mindset, right, that very ingrained mindset that your brain goes to. Perhaps when you're at home, your mind is a bully, right? And so it may be a little bit hard to break out of that, because it's coming to the surface, because this is clearing it straight out. How to work with it is, again, the daily habit, the daily practice of re-navigating yourself. And you've got a clarifier of how to work with it. Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands is very independent. She's very passionate. She's very courageous. She always follows the light. She's holding that sunflower, right? So her instincts are being drawn towards the light. She knows she's lucky. She knows she has luck on her side of how she manifests her instincts and how she cultivates them. So they're really getting you to cultivate the instinct by doing the daily practice of reorientating yourself back to your independent nature. Look how she's sitting. It's very, this is kind of medieval energy, or like pre-medieval. And if a woman sat like that, I can't imagine that the patriarchy would have been too happy, but she doesn't care. So it's really representing the breaking out of the conditioning of the fourth back to your true instincts, right? And cultivating that. This is yin in nature, so they bring depth, they nuance, they observe what's going on, and she's cultivating and bringing all of that into your instincts. So it's about doing a daily practice and cultivating your fire, cultivating the truth of your instincts rather than the conditioning. And the Page of Swords is underneath that, of like looking to the past, realizing it's not the present moment, with the intention of manifesting a frequency that opens up the space of the future. So it really allows you to be objective to what, why, what, and how, right? So how to work with this energy, how to amplify that. We have what words? Page of Wands, Six of Pentacles, and the Moon. So we got new fire energy as well. So this is new ways of communicating, instinctive ways of communicating, passion, transformation, very independent, right? Fire is very powerful energy, and this is new ways of communicating, new ways of engaging with your reality in your home, of what to expect. Pages have just got into the court. They're so excited. They want to learn new things. They want to learn everything. They want to talk to everyone. They're not jaded, right? So this is really activating. They're wanting you to focus on this new energy, of what you're learning now, not what you've experienced before, right? And they're wanting you to be open to the downloads that you're going to be receiving in your home, as well as I say, that fresh new energy of how you understand your reality in the present moment. So observing what's going on, observing your instincts rather than the monkey mind. Six of Pentacles, right? So this is a rebalancing away from the scarcity mindset, away from the Five of Pentacles, feeling left out in the cold, feeling run down, exhausted, not connected to source. So this feels, I'm linking this into the Jupiterian energy, that there's a rebalancing with source that's getting you out of a scarcity mindset. This may be actual things that happen in the 3D realm that are letting you know the new frequencies here, but they're also wanting you to come into a state of balance, right? Realize that the Five of Pentacles is not your life, in the same way that that Five of Swords is not your frequency anymore, right? And be open to receive what's unfolding, because it's going to support this higher level of coherence within yourself, of how you create your own reality. And again, this page is going back to that, right? Of that passion, that drive within you, that spark of spirit, and the way that you're communicating in that way, of focus more on the new reality and your power to manifest that. That's then going to have a knock-on effect of you bringing in outside opportunities and experiences that highlight that what you're doing here, the I am of it all, right? Especially that fire energy, because as I said, the I am mantra has got really loud. It's been loud because of the North Node in Aries, but that's moved now. Neptune's going to move into Aries, which is going to amplify the capacity of you creating your own reality. So it's about getting in alignment. We've also got the moon here, and that is Pisces. So I was talking about the 5th house a lot, where you have Pisces. Bring your creativity into your home, bring your joy into the home, into your foundation, into your root system. Feed it nourishment from your house of joy, your house of creativity. This is also a very psychic card, right? Of your emotional body. It's the moon. It's things that you do not see, right? And having a trust and a faith in them, in the messages that you're receiving, in that flow state that you're in, even if you don't know how things are going to unfold. There's a real trust here of the evolution of your emotional body. That it's allowing you to connect to the unseen realms at a higher level. That is then in turn giving you that deeper sense of nourishment. At the bottom of the deck of the root energy of this download, we have the 4 of Wands. You know, this is a big celebration of feeling good about what you've been achieving and what you're doing. I link this into the harvest. Now, before we can get to the harvest, we've got to show up every day and tend to those vegetables, right? We've got to put the work in. And so this is saying you're going to have things to celebrate. You're going to feel very accomplished with all of this, right? And there's a real sense of joy in the house, of the abundance in the house, in your root system. You know, you've also got a lot of fire here. So it's really about retraining those instincts. You know, even though this is the root energy, I also want to use it as like how to work with things. Celebrate the journey that you've been on. Celebrate all the little things that you're doing for yourself to step up to the plate, right? To bring in this level of abundance, right? And this is, the more that you celebrate your achievements, the more you're going to have the energy to achieve. For some of you, this might be getting that mortgage, that loan, of moving into the home and feeling really damn good about it. But there is this sense of the harvest coming into your root system, right? The strength of that. There's also community here as well. So if you've had difficulty in relationships, right, it's saying that the work that you're doing over the next 6 months is going to bring in a really beautiful exchange in those relationship dynamics, and feeling good, feeling vibrant, feeling passionate about your how you build in the world, how you create, how you feel stable and secure. There is celebration. Right, that is all of the tarot, but I'm going to cut the 2 oracle decks, because I do this when I shut the video down. I'll put all the cards back, but I'll cut the deck and I'll see where I've cut it, and predominantly it's the like phenomenal clarifiers. I'm just going to do it with the oracle cards, and we're going to see what's going on with Kuan Yin. We have charity, prayer and contemplation, connect with heaven, ask and you shall receive. That is going to this of like, really be open to receive. Get clear about what your desires are, how you want to feed your root system. You could simply send out a little bat signal to source of saying, I want to understand what to feed the roots, right? What's the best thing to feed the roots? I also send out a little, can you send nourishment to my roots, however that looks like. And charity's saying you're going to get what you need. Trust in that, right? You're deeply connected to heaven right now. Now with coherence, we have magic. Oh my God, another 4. 1331. Woof. The frequency of magic supports our intrinsic ability to grow and expand beyond this moment, to move beyond possibilities and expressions that are grand and profound as we can imagine. sorry, move towards even. I'm going to read that again because I messed that up. The frequency of magic supports our intrinsic ability to grow and expand beyond this moment, to move towards possibilities and expressions that are as grand and profound as we can imagine. All that is required is our belief in their manifestation. They're really doubling down on you've got the power to draw towards you that which nourishes your incarnation. And this is wild. This is so wild. Got to get out of the bully in the mind, tap into, cultivate that fire within yourself, your instincts, trust in the unfolding, trust in the unseen, and that is able to give you what you need. Oh, love this for you, my loves, my lovely Scorpios. Right, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope it resonated. If it did, hit that like button. Leave me a comment. It brings me so much joy. Don't forget, personal readings all 50% off till the Leo full moon on the 12th, so it will be including the 12th. Other than that, my loves, be good to yourself, Scorpio. Be good to those around you. Safe travels and be well until we meet again.